Konnichiwa mina, boku wa Jeremy desu. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. And another Sailor Moon Crystal episode has aired. It was Act 16, Abduction, Sailor Mercury. And I find myself at a crossroads, sort of. It's a conflict. I took notes this time just because there was so much going on. I kind of didn't think there would be. I thought it would just follow the manga chapter, but this one has deviated a lot in many ways. And some glaring ones, actually, when comparing them. But the whole time, it's hard to put this all into words, it really is, because I found myself comparing this particular episode of Sailor Moon Crystal to the Sailor Moon R episode that, of the original series that was sort of similar, because they're very similar in many ways. The extended chess game was interesting, and it sounded to me like they were pronouncing her name as Beltier, or trying to say it with the Japanese phoneticism, Beltier. And it's all spelled like Berthier. I don't know. Beltier, I believe, is how they pronounce it. So we'll go with that. Anyways, one of the most first things of all was how disjointed the opening scene seemed to be, if that makes any sense. It was it just felt very robotic, which is weird to say because there was emotion and stuff in it, but it was just zoom, 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 like everything's done, boom, right into the opening sequence. And other episodes of it have kind of just blended into it, but this is just boom, right into the opening music. And I'm just like, oh, that's a little jarring, I guess. And the other thing that was weird, I couldn't help but notice it. It's the art style again coming into play here, especially in the very first scene part with just after Mars is taken away. If you look at the group shot, there's Sailor Moon in the foreground, and in the background there's the group, including Tuxedo Command. His head is wrong. It just doesn't fit his body, and it's consistent with the way they draw the males. It's always weird. They're all over the place. I don't know what's up. Anyways, now, they opted not to do anything at the TA girls' school this time. Very strange. Of course, the last episode deviated a little bit by having Venus and Jupiter in it as well. And, you know, so everybody's there, everybody knows what's going on. The pieces of the puzzle are starting to come together. Ami realizes that Chibiusa is someone they should be protecting. Luna kind of senses it, and so on and so forth. But let's go on through the episode. One thing that I thought was really funny, just after the opening sequence, and they go into Luna coming to Mamoru's door, and is saying, hey, Chibi, come in, that girl, we gotta find her. So they're out in the rain, and it's just this, I don't know, the scene seemed really funny. There's these two umbrellas, which obviously have people under them, and you see Luna running ahead, and then there's Mamoru chasing her, so, and then the umbrellas stop, and they're like, ah, like that. Like, the scene of just this guy chasing this cat in the rain must have been kind of funny, and I appreciate that they had something like that in there, because the old series had a lot of just interesting moments like that. Sailor Moon Crystal has been great in that it is following the manga very well, but it's too much sometimes. They don't take the extra little bit of time for the extra interest, the everyday life type things that people can relate to necessarily. Which, I don't know, that's what I miss about the old series, and I mean, of course, we'll always have the old series, but even this particular episode missed a lot of beats. Like, there was nothing about Asanuma-chan at all. Nothing about his backstory, nothing about the part about Mamoru healing himself. Nothing. Might as well not exist, right? They decided to focus more on Ami's story. Now, in the preview for the next episode, I'm pretty sure Makoto was talking to Asanuma, so maybe they'll kind of carry it over, or maybe they just won't. But it just seems stupid to have his character in there if he's not going to have anything really to do with it, especially when they overlook other things. There was an instance in the last chapter, they overlooked it but it was Motoki's sister. Wasn't even in it, but Asanuma-chan's in there, so like, what the hell's the point? Especially if they're not really doing anything with him. Anyway, so they go back to Mamoru's apartment. There's the little Tuxedo Kamen doll and Luna. And in the manga, they make it out as though Mamoru is the puppeteer of Luna, like the ventriloquist. But obviously, in the episode, it's not. And then there's Luna P and the whole thing with that. Another thing is that Chibiusa doesn't say anything about where her home is. In the manga chapter, she does, but in the anime episode, she just kind of goes quiet, which is a little bit relatable, because children are like that when they don't want to talk about something. So that I will give them props for. I am really sad as well that they took out Motoki talking about knowing about the base under the arcade, because again, it's kind of an interesting little moment. It takes a little bit away from the fierceness of the moment, or the worry and stuff, just like the old series did. They always managed to infuse little bits of comedy in there, and that is what Sailor Moon is about, is the whole encompassing thing, not just focusing on one specific little thing. It's like a soap opera in a sense. It's got a lot of humanity and elements to it that Crystal continuously keeps coming up very dry with, and I think that's another reason that a lot of people are coming down on it so much. There's people that are called the Deke loyalists or whatever, the dubbed loyalists. That's, I guess that's totally different because that's talking about the English dub. But I don't know. Crystal has its ups and downs. It really does. So I can understand why people have issues with it, not just with the animation style, but just the overall handling of it. It's so disjointed everywhere. Anyway, let's continue on, shall we? So, there is a little part where Mamoru brings Chibiusa back. I wasn't really going to comment on it because it's probably just nothing, but I'm sure people are going to point it out. It rang weird to me. When Usagi and Mamoru are talking in the backyard, or off the side or whatever, and he's trying to get her to cheer up, and she's just kind of like, It goes back to when people were complaining about how he forced himself to, like she'd be knocked out and he'd kiss her and all that weird stuff. Back in the Barrel storyline, I didn't really think too much about it. Like, honestly, whatever, it wasn't a big deal. But this one, it seemed like he was trying to force himself just a little bit, if that's even the right way of putting it. Like, she didn't want to have anything to do, and he moves closer and bumps her, and she goes, like that? Why would they do that? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading way too much into it, but did anybody else get that weird vibe from that? Like, what a weird thing just to put in there. I don't know. Moving along. So, Saphir finally says brother. I wasn't sure if they were going to go there with him doing that. I figured with the musical they probably would. I kind of have this feeling they might actually deviate a little bit more as we go along. It could possibly be something like the musical did. They talk about the droids and how he's like an alchemist, sort of, and all that. I don't know, I could be way off base, but we'll see. Wise Man sounds like every other lecherous old man in Japanese anime. I'm sorry, he does. Just what the voice, the first thing that pops into my head. This is a reaction sort of thing, right? Ami dousing was a fantastic effect. I will give them that. That was a really neat idea. The way that they interfaced everything over the guys from the gym standing at the water there, and the way they used negative space and stuff from an artistic point of view was really, really interesting. It made the episode really neat. I liked that. I really did. And I don't know if you guys thought the same thing, but the older guy, that's like the groundskeeper there, when Ami finds the leak and he's talking to her, does he not look like the same guy from the original anime series from that episode with the garden, and he's a rainbow crystal holder? I don't remember his name, but he looks like him to me. Just, that's, I don't know. Anyway. The chess match kind of took over the episode. Not in a bad way necessarily. It brought out a lot of things that I think the manga chapter could have touched on better. I mean, it was already a long chapter compared to some of the other ones, but at the expense, of course, of no Motoki with the arcade thing and no Asanuma-chan's story and Mamoru's thing. I think a key element missing from it was the fact that Mamoru could heal himself. That really should have been put in there unless they're going to address it later. But that is a bit glaring to me. However, the chess match itself, using Ami's father's insecurities and the fact that she doesn't see him very much and that her parents are divorced, a very, very, very neat thing. I think, I haven't watched the series in a while, but I think, thinking back to it, something similar happened with Beltier doing the chess match with Ami in the original series. So that whole thing felt very much like the original anime, and it was almost like it was a kudos to it, or an homage to it, if you will. We got the fact that Ami was losing her concentration, and Usagi yelling, "Yay, Ami-chan!" and just being herself, and that fun thing that she does, breaking that ice, and that's really, really what Sailor Moon is about. And that's why I miss the comedic moments and just the little slice of life things that they throw in there. But the fact they focused on the friendship element again, which they're really driving forward, which is good because that's what a lot of shoujo anime is about. And Ami-chan coming back into it, beating Beltier, and of course she double crosses her, and blah 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 blah, and then we get the battle, which felt like a Charmed episode, if I may. The battle didn't really go on at all. It was like all this stuff going on, and then boom, like 2 minutes of dramatic fighting, boom, it's done, Ami-chan's taken away. But she did use Shining Snow Illusion, which was nice to see. We didn't get Rolling Heart Vibration from Venus. We got Venus Love Me Chain, which is fine. Jupiter kind of threw something, but it wasn't really much. So they're probably going to wait until the next episode to focus mostly on Jupiter, because that's what's going to happen anyway. So, all in all, I still think this episode was incredibly disjointed, both, well, yeah, with the animation still, but more so with the storytelling. And the cold opening was just, it was so jarring. It was just, it felt weird. It was almost like the episode was rushed. There were many elements that felt rushed to it, but at the same time, it had some slice of life elements and some neat new things in place of the other things that should have been in there. And I know there's only so much time to tell the story in an episode, but and I don't hate it, honestly. I mean, I just love pointing out some of these things that I notice, and hopefully some of you guys do too. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, it was an interesting episode all around, and that's why I said it. I'm kind of at a conundrum or a little crossroads here, because it's so, I don't know, it's weird. Do you know what I'm saying? So, anyways, 2 more weeks, and then we'll get Secret Sailor Jupiter Act 17. And as the abductions and stuff continue and blah blah blah, yeah, I don't know. It was nice to see Naru-chan as well in this episode. I was happy to see that. So I think that's mostly everything. Oh yes, they announced that there is a Sailor Moon characters image CD coming out for Crystal. So excited. So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with. I think that it's all going to be new stuff, like everything else has been new. I hope Naoko Takuchi writes the lyrics like she did for many of the other songs from the original series character songs. And it's coming out in April on the 28th, I think. And then another CD coming out in April that I'm excited for is a Yumi Hamasaki. It's called A1. I love a Yumi, so much stuff in April. Lekka's got a new single coming out in April. Fan Expo Vancouver's happening in April. So much stuff. I'm excited. So, yes. Okay, that's it for today. If you want to check out my radio show, it is tomorrow, Sunday, and every other subsequent Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 92.5 FM in Kamloops, or www.thex.ca. You can check it out. The streaming wasn't working last week, but it should be back now for this week, hopefully. And let me know what you think in the comments below. And I love hearing from other Sailor Moon fans and stuff, and I try to comment when I can. So thank you for watching, everybody. Jamatane, and I look forward to other review videos from some of you guys. So Ninja Girl Sakura, Joshua Fountain, LaShawn, a lot of you. I love them. When I get a chance to watch them, I always do. So Jamatane Mina, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.